And actually, that's funny. You actually teased this actually a week ago because I think you had texted me and Chris in our group chat. Shout out to Chris, of course. We have to do an NBA season preview very soon. About you and your wife have gotten into a discussion about Bryce Young. About whether or not he's the biggest bust, number one pick bust in the history of the NFL. And this is before the news that just dropped yesterday that he was benched by Dave Canellis by the Carolina Panthers as a starting quarterback. First off, your thoughts on the benching, number one. And number two, is he already the biggest bust through 1 year and 2 games?
So, first one, yeah, there's been no progression from year one to year two. And I think there were signs you knew that it was coming for the simple fact they didn't even put him out during the preseason. When you're the only quarterback and you had the worst team in all of football last year,
Yeah.
and you're not stepping foot on the field, that was a clear sign. As far as biggest draft bust, it's one of two ways to look at it.
Okay.
Since 2000, when I would say the scouting got way better,
Mm-hmm.
and quarterbacks in college started playing way more often and throwing way more passing.
Yeah.
I think this was the biggest failure I've ever seen by scouts and the biggest bust I've ever seen in the NFL history.
To me, what comes to a bust is two things here. It's number one pick, especially how high draft pick would matter, not rising expectations or matching it or going far below, and coupled with someone who is drafted either near or in the same position that not only does better, but far exceeds what you're doing. Like, so a lot of people will say Ryan Leaf was the biggest bust in the history of we'll count him. A lot of that's because Ryan Leaf, number one, was self-destruct, number one. Number two, who also was in that draft? Peyton Manning, top 5 quarterback all time, arguably, right? Jamarcus Russell was a bust as well too. Although I don't remember who was drafted in that draft with him. That was remarkably amazing. 2007, right?
Yeah, offhand, I couldn't tell
I
you.
couldn't tell you that,
Probably
but
like Chad Pennington, but yeah, I
no,
couldn't tell you.
not even. But the point
No.
is, Jamarcus Russell came in with a lot of expectations to come to the league. He had a really nice little run in college, and then this fell apart. This is bad because of Bryce. For me, the reason why I'm already in that, and normally I'm like, get another year, even third year, and then the reason why I'm already prepared to just say it and just call it white flag this whole thing is because I watched them and look, I understand this team is bad. Carolina's horrible. They're the worst team in football last year, the worst team this year. But even with the horrible line and all this stuff around him, no one to throw the ball to, I watch him. I don't see any upside. Him as a quarterback. I don't see, okay, there's a moment here, a throw here. There's nothing. There's nothing that stands out about Bryce Young that even gives you remotely any hope that he could be a quality quarterback in this league.
Yeah, if you're basing it off of what they've seen the first 2 weeks of this season,
Right.
and this past weekend as to why they had to bench him now, his longest completion was 12 yards.
Wow.
So you know he didn't throw it 12 yards to the air. So when you can't trust your quarterback to no longer even throw 5-yard passes on slants, that's bad. When you started naming like Jamarcus Russell and Ryan Leaf, you know what those guys had in common,
What?
unlike Bryce Young? Size. They had all the physical tools that every team looks for in a quarterback.
Yeah.
The only thing any scout pointed to throughout all of the evaluations was he is so smart.
Yeah.
He makes such smart decisions. That was it. When you had the wide receivers he had, they're almost always open. His complete he his completion percentage, while good, was not phenomenal. So there was nothing to look at him and go, okay, he's 6'4", he's 240 pounds, He'll grow into it. No, he's 5'10". He can't see over an offensive line. He's not fast enough to move. You're screwed.
Yeah.
And then if you wanted to have, so that's where I blame the scouts. I think that was the biggest scouting failure I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Then you look at organizationally, he had zero weapons. Zero weapons, no defense, and you brought in a coach before you had him, and you knew they didn't gel from the get-go because he wasn't the coach's guy. There was nothing for this kid to succeed.
And on top of that, too, this team's been unstable. They have what, 7 coaches in like 2 years?
Yeah, I think
Something
it's
like
like
that, or 3
technically
years?
4 now.
Yeah, some shit. It's insane, you know. And I like look at me look. And granted, this is a weird example because he's only played 2 games. But Caleb Williams, he has not looked good at all first 2 games. Right? We agree, right? No, hasn't looked good.
Yeah.
But I've seen moments, a throw here or there, and I'm like, oh, okay. So he does that, more consistent. Maybe I can see this being a thing. I've seen none of that with Bryce Young. Not last year, not this year. And granted, who's really watching Carolina games anyway, right? I mean, seriously, who's watching Carolina games? But from what I've seen, and believe me, that these, the ESPNs in the world, the FS1s in the world, they're going to want to put out a highlight or two to see what.
Oh yeah.
There's nothing. So I'm not going to go and say I'm 100% 10 toes down on him being a bust, but I'm pretty damn close to saying it. Like, I got to see something. I got to see him come back in the lineup in 1. And maybe they also benched him too, also to save from himself also.
Well, he got benched last year too. All right. And then, well, here's a question for you. As an organization, is it better to have a quarterback who's a full-on bust that you can identify right away with your own eyes, like Bryce Young, or do you want to be the Colts?
With Richardson.
Yeah.
Well, the thing with Richardson, though, is like the same thing with Caleb Williams, like I told you. Now, his case is twofold. It's an injury issue and a consistency issue. Now, granted, he's only played 4 games, though, to be fair. His samples, he's played 2 this year, I think 2 and a quarter last year. So the samples are small.
Like 4 last year, but
right, if that, but still small. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But even in those 4 games or 6, whatever number you want to land at, he has shown a moment or 2 or 4, that, I can see that. I've seen none from Bryce Young. None.
But which is worse for an organization?
I think it's better to be Bryce Young at Carolina to know where you stand early.
Yeah.
If you know he's bad right now. So these rookie deals are what, 3 years, 4 years? What, 3 years?
That's a 5-year deal.
All 5 years guaranteed, right?
So yeah, you had the 4 years and then technically a 5th-year option that they get to pick up.
Right.
Granted, the 5th year is the biggest money.
What? But was the 5th year a player op though?
No, it's always a team option.
Okay, so you got. Let's just say that this is the trick that's going on for Bryce Young.
Yeah. You
got 2 more years of this. Now, granted, rookie deals are small, so they'll have some cap room. I don't know the cap situation. I don't know if it's good or bad.
Well, the cap situation will be because you're not going to pick up like a 5th-year option, because the first 4 years are essentially fully guaranteed. Most of it's all at signing bonus. So these first 4 years, you're all good. Then it's that 5th-year option where you have to either pay up or you can let go. So,
well, if you're Carolina, it's better known early, he's a bust, so that you can prepare, get your ducks in a row for next year or even next year after to draft the quarterback.
Well, you're gonna have the number 1 pick this year.
Who's that? Carolina?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, them and the Giants. I think Giants are a little better than they are. And
I think you play the Giants. So
yeah, we do in Germany. What an award for Germany! We get Giants and Panthers in November. Congratulations, guys.